Well, the holidays have come and gone once again, but if you've forgotten to get that special someone in your life a gift, well, Mint Mobile is extending their holiday offer of half off unlimited wireless. So here's the idea. You get it now, you call it an early present for next year. What do you have to lose? Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Limited time 50% off regular price for new customers. Upfront payment required. $45 for 3 months, $90 for 6 months, or $180 for 12-month plan. Taxes and fees extra. Speeds may slow after 50 gigabytes per month when network is busy. See terms.
In the darkest corners of the internet, a nameless, formless entity has been growing. No one dares question where it was created or what it wants, but those who have been entranced by its musings chant its blood-curdling name in unison. Horror Movie Night!
Find Horror Movie Night on your favorite podcasting app or at hmnpodcast.com.
What's up, everybody? This is Brian here to tell you about our podcast, Bingetown TV. Our hosts include 7 best friends with a love for all things television. We cover a range of genres with a focus on fantasy and sci-fi, but also dip our feet into drama, horror, comedy, and pretty much anything we think is good television. We use the traditional deep dive formula for new live shows that are released week to week, but our calling card is our Rooks and Vets and Pitchtown TV series. Rooks and Vets pairs 2 of our hosts that have seen a show with 2 of our hosts that have not seen a show. Pitchtown TV is when we have a special guest pitch us a show by having us watch the pilot and trying to convince us to watch the rest. If you're craving more content on some of your favorite TV shows, then you should listen to Bingetown TV. Find us on our website at bingetowntv.com, the Apple Podcast app, Spotify, or wherever else you may find your podcast.
Welcome back to YA OK. Thank you so much for joining us today. This is Alyssa, and we are joined by the wonderful, the talented, the handsome Bo Bansom, Erik J. Brown.
Oh, that's it. I was hoping you'd keep going on with that one. Hi. How is everyone? How are you, Alyssa? It's been forever.
Good.
I haven't seen you in so long.
Oh, it's been a long time.
Happy New Year.
Yeah, Happy New Year. I'm in a new state, in a new apartment, and
both physically and of mind.
Yes, yeah, I would say so. Same old stuff I think now, but it's been a really interesting first little chunk of the year. But I'm happy to be here with you.
It's thrown off season. That's what we said through our text.
Yes, it is thrown off season. Everyone's a little off their kilter. We're trying to figure out some level of normalcy while things are a little crazy town.
Yeah. But I will say, like, recording this episode did feel kind of like old school normalness back for us, because talking with Cassie Miller was fantastic, and her new book, Meet Me Under the Lights, I love talking with her. It was great. And I genuinely think there's going to be a lot of people that are going to like this book. Not just this episode, obviously. I mean the book itself.
I think the book. Yeah. And I think Cassie is one of the people that, like, as we're doing the interview and the podcast, I'm thinking like, wow, she's really one of us. I was like, this is like one of us. It was very like I felt very like we were aligned on so much. So we had a really nice time talking to her about her book and about Kenny Ortega. And, the wonderful...
You know what? The one thing I forgot to talk the most about is theater stuff. I had it written down. I was like, let's talk about theater stuff.
Yeah.
But, I mean, we talk about it a little bit, obviously, but
I
think what we talked about was not what I originally had in mind.
Really?
And then it just kind of... I mean, that's a good thing, though, because that means it was a good conversation where we were just like, all talking and just getting to know each other, and
it was very organic.
The book and everything.
Yeah.
We'll have to save the theater talk for the next time you see her.
Cassie will be back, and we'll all be really excited to have her. But we've been hyping this up for a minute now, so please enjoy this interview with Cassie Miller. You're gonna love it, and we're so happy to be back.
Long years, our lives like magnetic fields. You are my universe. You are my universe. And I'm just a planet.
Hi, Cassie. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you guys doing?
Good. It's so nice to meet you.
Good to meet you
I'm
too.
excited to talk about Meet Me Under the Lights.
Yes.
First off, can you just tell us a little bit about the book? I mean, Alyssa and I already know what it's about, but for the readers, let them know.
Sure. Meet Me Under the Lights is a YA contemporary sports romance, and it's a summer romance set in a really small town that kind of revolves around baseball and keeping things very traditional. So when this family decides to kind of step up and challenge this family that's kind of become almost like the unpronounced mayors of the town, when they decide to step up and challenge that family for ownership of the local baseball stadium in the hopes that that income could help save their farm. Naturally, not everybody is a fan of that because why break with tradition? And then for the romance part, it's, at the core, you have the grandson of the farming family who's brought in to lead this new baseball team to victory during the summer, and the daughter of the wealthy family who's trying to get away from baseball and do her stuff on the technical aspect of theater. And naturally they cross paths, and it's got a Romeo and Juliet minus the tragedy kind of love story between the two of them. Very inconvenient of all the summers for them to reconnect and start something. It's like the worst possible summer, which makes it fun.
Which makes it the best possible summer for
exactly,
readers.
for readers, yes.
I also, when I read the plot of the book, the first thing I thought of was this would be a great musical. This would be a great musical. It would be a great musical. And actually, I'll take it one step further. It would have been a really great, like early 2000s Disney Channel original. I would have been sat for that.
I so appreciate that because at its core, when I was chatting with my editor way back at the beginning, we realized that we were such kindred spirits because of our love of musical theater.
Yeah.
But especially she was like, oh my gosh, Cassie, when you see, she was like, I wish you could be present for the marketing meeting that I'm going to have, because she used so many High School Musical like memes and stuff. So
that's what I was thinking, High School Musical.
It's a Kenny Ortega original, Ortega.
No, it really is a Kenny Ortega original.
I know.
Put it out into the universe.
I
Manifest
am.
that.
And, I was binging over and over Julie and the Phantom, still bitter that did not get a season 2. So maybe that was why you're feeling it. It's infused that kind of lovely musical romance. I don't know.
I think that I love that it's a like Romeo and Juliet kind of thing, because I was thinking about it when I started reading the book, because I genuinely think that is probably the best conflict in a romance that you could possibly ever have. I don't think there will ever be one that is as good as like a Romeo and Juliet style. Like, we are in love, but we can't be because our families hate each other. And it's like, that's because it's the family trauma of shit, but it's literally nothing they can change.
Right.
And it's like based on everybody else's shit. And
Yes.
It's like, no, we have gotten past our shit to fall in love. Why can't all of you?
Exactly. But it's this generational trauma that's just kind of trickled down into these kids. And it's been happening. Their families have been at each other's throats for over 30 years. And so these kids are really kind of helpless, where they're like, my God, why can't you guys let this go? You don't even remember what really caused it. But it's enough that you are not able to even walk down the same street together. You got to do grocery shopping at different times. Like, this is ridiculous. But people love that. I love that. I'm a sucker for that. If I see that in a blurb, it's
you're in.
It's in. Yeah, for sure.
I feel like the Romeo and Juliet style story, like that template, it's so, the fact that you can do it over and over again, and you can read the back of like of a blurb like of a book like this, and you're not going to read it and be like, oh, I've heard this story before. You're like, oh my God, this story, I recognize this, I'm in. It just like draws you in, and it speaks to how good that storyline is. But I also like this kind of storyline because it makes the love interests have to almost step in and be like in a parental role and be like, what is wrong with you guys?
Yes. No, that's such a good point too. And it was funny because I had only ever thought of it as my own version of Romeo and Juliet with baseball. And when I really started chatting with my editor, one of the first things she told me when I was going through some big revisions was, she was like, I want you to think of it more like The Notebook, but with baseball. And we're going to make it more of a really stark contrast. Like, yes, the families are arguing with each other, but there's also an inability to understand each other's viewpoints because you have wealth with and privilege with blue collar. And so how do the kids understand their own biases too? Because they're kids. Most adults don't even understand their own biases. So that was also kind of a fun spin outside of the typical Romeo and Juliet, was bringing the wealth into it, or lack thereof.
Yeah, I love that, because like with Romeo and Juliet, it was always like they were just same level playing field. They were both just rich people that hated each other, you know? So it's like that brings so much more into it, I think.
Yes. Yep. That's what my thought was too.
That's fantastic. I love that. What made you combine baseball and theater?
That's a great question. I love talking about this. So I always knew I wanted to write a baseball story. It's my favorite sport. I love it. I miss it. As my husband would say, baseball's a sport that's like 16 months out of the year. Cassie misses it for like one, whatever. But I miss it. I mourn it when it's not happening. So I just always wanted to write a baseball story. My family was involved with a lot of baseball, my brother and my dad. And then with the theater side of things, at the time, I was teaching high school English, and I happened to have the opportunity to work with our high school musicals. And I went from directing and stage design to taking a step back and doing more of the technical aspect. And I really fell in love with the work that went on behind the scenes. And I started noticing, man, like these techies, these kids are busting their asses, and they do not get nearly enough credit because they're not center stage. They are not under the spotlight. Versus people like my brother and some of my other students who are star athletes, who are constantly under the spotlight. And some of them thrive with that and some of them don't. So to me, even though it sounds like there's not a lot in common, I think there actually is between thespians. If you know theater, it's a really competitive world. They hold themselves to equally as high of standards, I would argue, as an athlete. And so for me, it was kind of a really seamless transition to show a girl that's always under the spotlight with her family, who wants to be more in control of the spotlight for other people, and a boy who doesn't mind being under the spotlight, but who also deep in his core knows he doesn't have many more opportunities to prove himself. So it was really fun to kind of balance that light and who was in control and where the controller can kind of manipulate things. I don't know. It was a lot of fun to do that together.
It's actually a great dichotomy when you put it that way.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Thought I was rambling off there, but
no, as you were saying that, I was like, damn. And you know what? What's also really interesting is as you were explaining the difference between the athletes and the thespians. I love that word.
Me too. Satisfying.
Yeah, it is. It like feels good in your mouth. I did my like high school theater program. So that was my crowd, and I was definitely not playing sports for the safety of myself and others. And so I always felt like I felt similarly where the kids in the theater program are also taking it so seriously. Like they are on vocal rest for no reason the week before the show. It's like they're taking it so seriously. And then athletes are sort of notorious for like, you know, we just hope that they make it to the game because they were partying last night, like that sort of vibe. And so it's also interesting. And I think you're right that people who are in the theater programs are also like the male protagonist, like kind of trying to prove themselves every opportunity that they can, because they know that the impact of, you only have like 3-4 shows that you're going to do in a high school production. Right. So every time you have only 3 or 4 opportunities to like really show yourself. And for like playing a sport, you're playing many games throughout the season, and it's just not taken as seriously. And it's seen as like, well, I'm doing this because it's fun and because it's like, you know, something I'm good at, whatever. So I love that dichotomy because it has like layers in it.
Yeah, thank you. And you're bringing up a good point too. When you're talking about like proving yourselves, for me, and I do this even now. I've been fortunate enough. I've been to a lot of plays and musicals. I grew up in the theater world as well as the baseball world. Fun fact, my grandparents built and owned their own costume shop. They built it in the 1950s. So I've been around theater for a long time, but even though I loved watching what was on the stage, I was always the audience member that would want to go over and look down into the pit orchestra. And I looked behind me to see where the lights were coming from. And as someone who has spent a lot of time sitting in that booth designing lighting shows for theater, you don't see a lot of people looking behind them until the end when the cast comes out and goes up with their hands for the techies and goes down for the pit. So I think the technical kiddos, they just get so overlooked because everybody's attention is always center stage. They never think about the work that goes behind the scenes to make that happen. So I really wanted to tell that story.
I love that.
I feel like we need like a Smash level TV show of like just tech stuff
Smash.
on Broadway because I feel like that is
for Jeremy
untapped.
Jordan. Just man, Newsies. What a time to be alive. Yes,
what a time to be alive. That is so awesome. Well, I feel like when I came into the call, you guys were talking about book covers. Did this start by talking about the book cover for Meet Me Under the Lights?
Yeah.
Yes, of course it did.
Because it's so beautiful, and this is a podcast where people are not like they're not looking at video, so please look it up. And it has the most gorgeous like sunset colors on the front, and like it looks like a beautiful picture of a beautiful Sunday or Sunday, maybe Sunday, but summer evening. It looks so cozy and perfect and romantic. I love it.
Me too.
Very baseball appropriate.
Me too. And I was so happy when we were going back and forth and I saw some preliminary sketches, which of course were all in black and white. We had to tweak a couple of things, but I had told them my biggest feedback was that I really wanted not so much of the stadium behind the two leads. I wanted the sky, and I needed to have lights. Yeah. And the illustrator surprised us and gave us that full wrap. So you get more of the stadium behind it, but it was, and I said, if we could have a sunset, and I didn't even specify colors. I said just a sunset, that would be perfect. And Steve Scott, he nailed it. I mean, I still remember opening that email and just gasping. I was at work in the library and I just like tearing up at how pretty it was.
Yeah.
That's great when beautiful. You get like that email where you open it up and you're just like, oh, wow, that's so different than what I was expecting.
Yes.
Like in a good way.
Yes, I was going to say the good gasp, not the bad one.
Thankfully, I haven't experienced that yet, but
same, knock on wood.
I'm sure there are some authors who do, and they're just like, I wasn't expecting that. And that's when you have to go to your agent and be like, hey, we need to talk.
I know. Our visions are not lining up. Let's fix that, please. Please.
It's a shame, though, because like I know some people who like they don't like their covers. And
me too.
They can't really do anything about it. It's one of those things that authors do not have a lot of control over. They will come to you and they will say, what do you think? And if you don't like it, you can say, oh, there's some stuff I'm not okay with. I don't really like this, or this. Can we change that? And publishing can be like, okay, well, let's see if we can do that. But most of the time they're gonna be like, no, this is what marketing says that we want. And this is what's gonna happen.
Yeah,
and
no,
also,
you're absolutely right.
Bookstores like Barnes & Noble has more say in it than even the publishers do. Because if you go to Barnes & Noble and you're like, hey, look, this is this book coming out. And they go, oh my God, that sounds great. No to that cover. Mm-hmm. They may have to go back to the drawing board and completely redo it. And Barnes & Noble isn't going to be like, oh, here's what we imagine the cover as. They'll just say no to that cover, redesign it, do something else.
Yeah, no, you're right. Yeah. I tell my students all the time, you hear the cliche, don't judge a book by its cover, but I tell them, but you should be able to tell something about the book based on the cover. And if you look at a cover and it confuses you and you can't get any kind of an idea as to what it might be about, that's, in my opinion, that's a marketing fail. You really should be able to tell something about the story based off of the cover before you even flip it over or open up that inside jacket. My personal opinion.
I agree, even down to, this is like kind of a stupid way to describe it, but like the vibes.
Yes.
Like there are many books that I pick up because I can tell by like the font on the front of the page and like the colors. If you look and it's like a sort of like romantic gothic font on the front and it's like blacks and purples and reds, you're like, okay, this is probably going to be like romantic, gothic, a little dark. Like you can sort of like discern what you're in for. But I agree, when you pick up a book and it just like, you're like, I have no idea what this is. It almost like, there are times and places for things being very simple, sleek, modern, like clean, whatever. And a book cover is not the place.
I agree.
In my opinion.
No, I agree. Yep.
I feel like they do that a lot with romance or not romance, romantasy and fantasy, like hard fantasy books, where it's just the title in like a filigree kind of looking font.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's one of the reasons why maybe I don't read a lot of fantasy, is because I don't know, I don't have an idea of what the book is about, even though you can just read it on the blurb, it'll tell you, but I kind of still want something on the cover that's like something that pops. And I've realized, like, just thinking about that as you were saying it, I was like, all of the fantasy I have read does have that. It has something else on the cover other than just the title in a font.
Do you know who did it well, who I think nailed it? Was, I hope I don't mispronounce her name, but it was Nicole Meyer's Accomplice to the Villain, Apprentice to the Villain. Do you guys remember that? You need to look that up, because it's romantasy, but it's brilliant because she's got little nuggets of all kinds of like foreshadowing, little itty bits and pieces of things on each of her covers, down to the toad, this magical bewitched toad. Her books are laugh out loud, like Christina Lauren funny. I mean, snort laughing funny, but so good. And the romance is such a slow burn. You're literally like shaking the page and yelling at them to just kiss already. But her covers are brilliant. Every time I read it, I end up gasping and going, oh, that was on the cover. Like, they're just little nuggets. And as a reader, I think that's important. I think readers like to find those kind of hints. It's kind of like when the title is woven into the book and you get to that scene and you're like, oh, it's very satisfying. So hers, I think people should study that more, because I completely agree with you, Erik. I think the norm has become big title, lots of vines and drippy things.
Yeah. Doesn't
really tell me anything about the story, even the world per se. It just kind of is this almost generic.
Yeah. It's actually, I was, as you were talking about like fantasy and romantasy and like that, I was thinking about how A Court of Thorns and Roses was the most massive series like a year or two ago. And I'm like, those covers are kind of awful. Like, it's just literally
that
the
was
title.
What I was thinking of too when I got to it, because I was like, oh, they're all the same. They're just
all the same
title and then like that little like icon thing.
Yeah, like you legitimately could have made it on Canva, which, no hate to Canva, but you have a best-selling book series. I don't know. Maybe we like something. It's just, that's so interesting.
They've redone the cover at least once, and yet they still kind of keep it in the same vein. So that's an interesting point.
Yeah, it's really interesting. And so you are a librarian. So you are in Bookland all the time. Kind of my dream job is to be a librarian. It feels like it would be a peaceful job. Is it a peaceful job?
Oh, Alyssa.
Used to be.
So it depends on where you are,
right?
And what kind of librarian you are. I think the romantic idea of a library is Belle and her ladders and singing, and spiral staircases and people are quiet. But I am an elementary school librarian. Oh, no. We are not quiet often. And my library is beautiful. It's relatively new, and I've set it up to where we have what I call the quiet zone. So kids who go over there, I turn on my Bluetooth speaker and play like white noise and stuff so they can kind of zone out and read. But it's not super peaceful. What I do, I teach 21 classes a week. Each class is 45 minutes because I'm part of the specials rotation. So kids go to PE one day, me another day, STEM, etc. So it's not, if I was a middle school or high school librarian, it would be a little bit more flexible, but I have what's called a fixed schedule. So yes, it is peaceful and quiet when I'm not teaching, or kids aren't knocking on my door asking me to help them with their Chromebook as if I have a degree in IT, which I don't, but librarians get saddled with that. But I was just talking to my kids about this the other day. My youngest, out of the blue, he was like, "Do you like what you do?" I was like, "Okay." And I said, yeah, I do. Because I went from the high school classroom, which was fun, but I brought a lot of work home with me. And as an elementary librarian, I'm not bringing the graded papers home and such. So the piece in the library is lovely when it's just me barcoding books.
Yeah.
Or stamping them. And honestly, like, I love shelving books. It puts my OCD type A heart it's just a very comforting thing to get things nice and neat. That part is quite peaceful.
Okay, I'll take it. I also feel like, and I'm curious if it feels different to you now. And we all at some point were in schools where we had our own librarians. I feel like I remember all of my librarians. Like, they were, as a person who really liked to read, and I was in that library all the time. They're such like special people, and I think that relationship that a student has with their librarian it's just so unique. Do you feel like you have those relationships with some students? I mean, now kids are not, I don't know, maybe we're returning back a little bit to people reading, but it's definitely not the same as it was, 20 years ago, at least for me when I was in whatever.
It is so different now. You can blame so many factors, whether it's screens or COVID or I don't even know, but they do talk about learning stamina going down because kids aren't reading full books anymore. We have all this curriculum being shoved down these kids' throats from people who have no business writing curriculum because they've never spent time in the public ed classroom. But my point is that I do have wonderful relationships with these kids. I have who I call my regulars. They come in every morning when I have open book checkout. Any of the 400 kids in my building can come in and check out books the first 15 minutes of the day. And that's part of my favorite time of the day is some of these kids will get a book and disappear. And I sometimes forget they're there. Aww. And I go to get things ready for my first class. And I hear like the small child, the noises of a child. And I'm like, oh, you have to go. You have to go back to class. You can't be here.
Oh my God.
That's so funny. Not for you all day. When in reality, I would love to just close my door and join them and sit on a bag. So I do have that relationship, but it does kind of break my heart because I feel like I have to do so much more showmanship than my librarians always did. They were magical, charismatic people. And my theater side definitely helps me with that. But some of these kids, they get a book, they want to love that book. They just can't stick with it. That learning stamina has just gone down so much. They're not reading novels in classrooms the way that we did growing up. They're reading excerpts. And, oh, dude, my son, I'm going to throw shade. My son, he was reading, what was he reading? He was reading The Hunger Games in an honors English class in middle school. They got halfway through and then she moved on.
No.
I was like, wait, what? He goes, yeah, she said we could finish it if we wanted to. What?
Was it to try and encourage them to read it? Because I'm assuming she just basically got counted down to go into the arena and then just, all right, we'll move on now.
Right. I know. And then I asked him, I was like, well, is she giving you time to read it in class? No. And see, I've done other interviews. I could talk about this for hours, but I won't. The lack of, Beverly Cleary's drop everything and read, sustained silent reading, call it what you want. Give kids 10 minutes, 10 freaking minutes. That's all it takes of protected reading time. Let them read whatever they want. And I swear to you, it'll catch up and we'll see more kids coming to that library and checking out books. But they're not given anything to finish it. They're not given the time to finish it in class. Some of these kids go home to shit home lives. They're not going to finish it. And it just broke me.
Yeah. And it's also, I remember being in school and my parents having conversations in the house about how crazy it is that you spend 8 hours in school and then you come home and some of these kids are doing homework for 3 hours. It's that's more than an adult's work day. Mm-hmm. I understand the need to to homework is a lot of the times I felt like I learned more with my homework than I did in the classroom. So I get that. However, it really doesn't lend itself to reading. And The Hunger Games is a weird choice to do that with, because most of these kids have seen the movie, or they at least know that the movie exists. So they're going to get halfway through the book and be like, well, I know what happens. Like, I don't need to
Exactly.
finish it.
Or I'll just watch the movie
Crazy.
instead, which breaks my reader heart too.
What
Because
year-
both are great, but
Yeah. What year was your son when he read that book?
seventh grade.
Wow. That's crazy.
And that's a pivotal time, because I can tell you, when you compare circulation numbers, elementary numbers are high. Kids love their books. My 5th grade numbers are significantly lower from my 3rd grade numbers.
Wow.
And middle school numbers, they're either like you and me, and they're already strong readers. So they might not get a lot of books from their school library because they go to the public library or they have some at home. So it's not really a good indicator. But those numbers in middle school and even high school are so low. And I do think it's because we're not giving them that protected time. Which just breaks my heart.
When I was in elementary school, they called it Ribbit, RIBET. Reading is better every time. And we would sing, reading is better every time, as you're grabbing whatever book you're going to read. And it was, I think, 15, 20 minutes where it didn't matter what you were reading. You could read like Highlights magazine. You could read Goosebumps. You could read, I was reading a Stephen King novel at one point and got in trouble for that. But like, you could read whatever you wanted. It didn't have to be homework. It could be homework if you wanted it to, if like you had something to read for homework, but it was like 20 minutes, 30 minutes, whatever it was, where you had to sit there and in your seat and read the whole time.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably what made me a reader, because that was like, we got to go to our school library and every week you had to pick out a book because you knew you'd be having Ribbit every single day.
You have to have something in your
to read.
hands, right?
So.
And it didn't matter. People weren't shaming you for grabbing a graphic novel the way that they do now. You grabbed what you grabbed and you read it. So
yeah, well, because it's like you said, it's the like the retention. That's what I feel like makes the biggest difference. It doesn't matter if you're reading a graphic novel or you're reading, I don't know, Stephen King, but if you're able to sit and read for 20 minutes straight, you already have a better attention span than so many people.
I can't even do that. I have to like remind myself, put my phone in another room, because I'll be reading something and go, oh, what does that word mean? Oh, that makes me think of this. And then I'll go on my phone and all of a sudden I'm scrolling again.
Right. Well, it's funny because I'm thinking about when I was in honors English, I think it was my junior year or my senior year of high school. We had this course called Art English, and it was really for people who like it. Your grades didn't matter as much as you had to write an application for why you wanted to be in Art English. And we just read like very different, like we read Clockwork Orange in that class, which is psychotic. I can't imagine doing that in to a high schooler and being like, let's talk about it. Like it was crazy. But that class, like it was so beyond. It didn't feel like you were just reading a high school curriculum book. It felt like, okay, like really, where is the art in what you're reading? Especially for a book like Clockwork Orange, where so much of it is like, first of all, it's like in a different language. And it really is, you really have to think beyond like what the actual story is to understand why a person would find it important to write that book and write that story and do it the way that they did. Anyway, it was such a beautiful experience. And I think about Art English all the time. And I hope that I think there is going to be sort of a return now, because I see it now with my like age group, and even with, I have one friend in particular who is the most Gen Z person I've ever seen in my life. And even for her, she is like chronically online. And the same way that parents with their kids are like, you have 2 hours of screen time. I mean, 2 hours is a lot, but like you have whatever X amount of screen time in a day. She kind of does that to herself, where she's like, I cannot be on my screen. On you have your like work screens, and then you go home and you're like, now I'm going to go on my fun screens. And it's like your brain is rotting, and you need to take 10 steps back. And I think people are starting to really feel that. It's like, it's even part of, I think people who are readers are also better communicators. Like they're better at socializing. Like it really impacts so much of your life experience and your development. And it makes me so sad that kids are just not finding the love of it as naturally as they used to.
I know. My hope is, though, I see these young adult novels and there's so much more available to these kids now than there used to be. And so I also take a positive spin on it. And I'm like, a lot of these young adults are already online. So it's important that young adult authors like myself should also be online interacting with these bookstagrammers and stuff, because that's my target audience. That's the kid I want to reach. And it's been wonderful having some of these kids DM me and just get excited about it. I'm like, yes, I would have given anything to have access like you guys have. Yeah. I didn't have that as a kid. I didn't think about the author behind the book. Yeah. I didn't think of them as someone who was approachable. Yeah. So I think our middle grade and young adult authors are in a really cool position where I'm not saying they all need to be like heavy on the TikTok, but I think if they pick one social media platform and really dominate on that, I think it really could go and do a lot of work building back that reading that's been missing for years. So I'm with you. I'm hoping that we're seeing an uptick with that, hopefully.
Yeah. I mean, for what it's worth, A Court of Thorns and Roses, I read most of that series, and after a while I was like, I think I get it. I think actually I'm good. But to have a book series be like a cultural, I mean, it wasn't really a cultural phenomenon, but it was like, it made a huge impact. People were like obsessed with it for a solid year. And I personally can't remember a time where that happened to that degree since like Twilight. Like it, and it also, then there was a wave of people who were kind of like, these aren't real, like this isn't real literature, whatever, being very judgmental. It's like the people who would judge graphic novels. I don't care. You had young adults sitting reading 600-page books and burning through them. Like they could not get enough of it. Yep. That like made my heart sing, because I was like, I actually don't care what the story is about, and I don't care if you think that the book is like academically to your standard. The fact that people were able to do that was amazing. And I think those people who read that series, after they read that series, wanted to find books that were similar, wanted to like continue in that, like you created a new pattern in your day-to-day life. And now you have this really great like hobby and thing that you like to do. So yeah, so I'm hoping we're seeing a I mean, even having just like these like influencers who are specifically for books, like book influencers, I'm so happy they exist. I follow a bunch of them too, because I'm like, I like your taste. Let's see what you're reading next. And I'm similar to you too, where like I would not have thought about the author so much when I was in middle school because it felt so unattainable. Right. But the fact that you guys have like Instagram accounts, like to me in middle school, celebrities. You're a celebrity. That's amazing.
And that's just crazy to think about. Yeah. But like, you know, and I think it was Reese Witherspoon was talking about how we need more rom-coms and things like that. And I look at that too, where I'm like, you know, if a kid, when I was growing up, you did not watch something before you read it. But now it seems to be that's kind of changed, and I'm okay with that. Like personally, I watched season 1 of The Summer I Turned Pretty, and I was like, oh, it's pretty good. So then I went and I was like, I'm going to buy the entire trilogy, because I liked Jenny Han's To All the Boys I've Loved. And so I read through all of those books, very different from the show, but it didn't make me dislike them. And so I really think the more that maybe Kenny Ortega wants to make stories into musicals, and hi, Kenny Ortega. I think that could work in, right? Is this on? I think that could actually lend really beautifully. I'm seeing a lot of books being turned into television and into movies. And I think that's great, especially if it's with that teen audience. Bring it. Like, I really think you're going to see, you know, not to all the boys, The Summer I Turned Pretty, that series is several years old. And yet she went back up to the #1 on the New York Times after the show came out, because kids were hungry for it before the next season dropped. Yeah. That works. You know?
That's amazing. Yeah.
Especially if there's multiple in a series. It's like, I feel like that's what TV producers should be looking for, is like anything where there is at least 3 books, be like, you have 3 seasons worth of TV there. Right. And the people you can have that, like maybe even 2-year break that is all of a sudden becoming very popular in TV production, where the kids are catching up and reading the other books before the next season comes out. And with television, I feel like you can make different choices than the books better than doing it in the movies. You have more time to explore, like bring in newer characters or flesh out other characters. And I feel like television is a good medium for books.
I agree. I am thoroughly enjoying Percy Jackson. I love that my family can watch that show. I think it's brilliant. I love the choices that they've made. I love the casting. And I realized halfway through season 2, I only ever read the first book, and my boys read all of them. Love the author, love his entire body of work. My oldest is now on the last set of books about Perseus. And I just started reading them, and I'm like, man, this is good writing. Why did I wait so long? But I'm enjoying reading it in between seasons, seeing those differences. It's just, I agree with you. I truly think, film is great, but I do think TV lends itself nicer with most books. It just works well.
There was a Percy Jackson billboard, somewhere on Sunset Boulevard. The craziest billboard I've ever seen, because it was a digital billboard, but it had a so I guess I've never seen Percy Jackson and I haven't read it, so this is based on what I saw on the billboard. Is it a dragon situation?
Probably
it's a Greek myth.
Probably
Greek
not.
myths, Greek mythology.
Okay, so there was some sort of I don't know if it was a tentacle or an arm or something that sweeps across the billboard, and then this whole wave of water comes off of the billboard like this waterfall. It was me and my fiance sat by the billboard for 20 minutes just watching it do this every 5 minutes. We were like, well, we got to see it again. That was crazy. It was so cool, and it was such a I love that it starts as a book series. I love that now it's in a TV series. And I love that we even got creative with the billboard. It's this is what 2026, this is what we should be doing.
Agreed.
Make a waterfall billboard on Sunset Boulevard.
Everybody gets a waterfall.
Yeah, it was so cool. I loved it.
Kaylee Cuoco and Sam Claflin star in the MGM Plus original series, Vanished. When the man Alice loves disappears on a train to the south of France, every romantic memory becomes evidence. Every intimate detail, a potential threat. She thought she knew everything about him, but she may not even know his real name. New episode Sunday on MGM Plus. Finding the truth is a dangerous affair.
This episode is brought to you by Indeed. Stop waiting around for the perfect candidate. Instead, use Indeed sponsored jobs to find the right people with the right skills fast. It's a simple way to make sure your listing is the first candidates see. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs have 4 times more applicants than non-sponsored jobs. So go build your dream team today with Indeed. Get a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
It's football season, and you can now get almost anything you need for game day delivered with Uber Eats. What do we mean by almost? Well, you can't get a running back delivered, but you can get baby back ribs delivered. A strong defense? No. A strong deodorant? Yes. A 6-pack of abs? Nope. 6-pack of beer? Yes. Get almost anything for game day delivered with Uber Eats, official on-demand food delivery partner of the NFL. Order now. Alcohol 21 plus and in select cities. Product availability varies by region. See app for details.
In the darkest corners of the internet, a nameless, formless entity has been growing. No one dares question where it was created or what it wants, but those who have been entranced by its musings chant its blood-curdling name in unison. Horror Movie Night!
Find Horror Movie Night on your favorite podcasting app or at hmnpodcast.com.
What's up, everybody? This is Brian here to tell you about our podcast, Bingetown TV. Our hosts include 7 best friends with a love for all things television. We cover a range of genres with a focus on fantasy and sci-fi, but also dip our feet into drama, horror, comedy, and pretty much anything we think is good television. We use the traditional deep dive formula for new live shows that are released week to week, but our calling card is our Rooks and Vets and Pitchtown TV series. Rooks and Vets pairs 2 of our hosts that have seen a show with 2 of our hosts that have not seen a show. Pitchtown TV is when we have a special guest pitch us a show by having us watch the pilot and trying to convince us to watch the rest. If you're craving more content on some of your favorite TV shows, then you should listen to Bingetown TV. Find us on our website at bingetowntv.com, the Apple Podcast app, Spotify, or wherever else you may find your podcast.
Do you like to laugh, geek out on music, and learn all about that band or artist who had that one song back in the day, but then seemed to fall off the face of the earth? If so, you need to subscribe to One Hit Thunder. Together with an array of interesting and hilarious guests, we do a weekly dive into one-hit wonders like Eiffel 65's Blue, Krayshawn's Gucci Gucci, EMF's Unbelievable, Delamitri's Roll to Me, Los Del Rio's Macarena, Musical Youth's Pass to Dutchie, and even Patrick Swayze's She's Like the Wind. So are you subscribed to One Hit Thunder or what? As Desiree would say, you gotta be. And as K7 would encourage, you gotta come, baby, come and join in on the fun of the One Hit Thunder podcast.
Come, baby, come, baby, baby, come, come. I want to talk about, so this is your debut. I would love to talk about your publishing journey and just like what made you start writing and then kind of how you got your agent, the publishing deal, all of that.
Oh gosh, Erik, you would need like 7 episodes, but I'll condense it as best as I can. I started writing. I think I've always been a writer. My first love was poetry. I still love to write poetry. But when I was teaching high school English, I was doing that for several years, all levels, honors down to your general education English classes. And I started noticing that kids really enjoyed journaling. And I realized my high school didn't have a creative writing class the way that other high schools in the district did. So I was like, can I do that? Can I create that? And my principal at the time was like, yeah, write the curriculum, Cassie. I was like, okay, bet, I'm going to do it. So I created a creative writing 1 and an advanced creative writing classroom. And it was amazing having these kids in there, watching them write stories. And I think that was the spark. So when they were writing, I didn't like watching them. It felt creepy. And I've never been one of those teachers who could just like let kids do something creative and just be on my computer. So I was like, well, screw it. They're writing. I'm going to write. So I would take the journal prompt and I started doing it myself. And I would share with the kids only if a certain number shared with me first. So it also kind of got them out of their shells of, writing is intrinsic and it's only for me, my precious. And they eventually shared. But that was when Meet Me Under the Lights really started coming into my head. And so what was super fun is I had a creative writing class while I was drafting it. I had a different creative writing class when I started querying my agent. And they were like, well, what is that? So I took down my guard and I showed them everything. I taught them how to write their own query letters so that their short stories had query letters. That was fun. And I showed them my horrible spreadsheet of all of my color codes of no's that I was getting from agents and the partials that were like my yellows and the greens that were my fulls and things like that.
Oh my God, that was my color coding too.
Right. Why do we color code? That was harsh.
Because it gives you the data right up front. You don't have to look at it. You just look at it and you go, okay, that's what I've got. All right.
But it was really fun, I think. And it became important for me to show these kids Mrs. Miller, at the time, she's in her 30s. She's got 2 young kids. She teaches full time, but she's trying to do this. And I wanted to show these kids, you don't have to have all of the answers in high school. Mm-hmm. I went to college. I got my degree in English ed. And I know I wouldn't be where I am had I not taught high school English before switching to elementary library. But I wanted these kids to see that you can have multiple dreams. Like you can be a layered person. And so they were with me on that journey. I still vividly remember when I got my yes, and set up the phone call with Anne, my agent, who's still my agent today. And the kids, they knew that I was going to have that phone call that night. So the next day they came in and they're like, how was the call? How was the call? And it was awesome. I'm crying. They're crying. Like if an administrator walked in and like heard us all like howling with happy tears, of all the times they could have come in to observe, that would have been a treat. But yeah, they were with me for the querying journey. So that was super special. And a lot of them have since stayed connected with me over Instagram or even Facebook. So when this book finally got its yes from Penguin, from Viking, some of those students immediately came back. They were like, wait, is that the one from like 8 years ago? And I was like, yes. They're like, oh my God. I was like, yes. I said, like, guys, we talked about this. There is a time. It's a timing thing. When I wrote it, it wasn't the right time. And it took me a while to understand that. But over the years, I've really come to truly get it. Knowing what I know, watching the way that marketing works, having that inside vantage point, I do understand, yeah, it is a timing thing. We're timing this out for when people will need that kind of heart hug of a book, Mm-hmm. We can have our angry dystopian stories for people who want to rage in that way. And for those who need to come out and be seated for something summery and fun, they can pick up Cassie's book. But yeah, so it was a couple of years finding my agent, a lot of no's before the yes, a couple of rounds of good heavy revisions on this book. And when we got an R&R, which is called a revised and resubmit for those of you that don't know, from my editor, I took it. Her notes were brilliant. That was when she talked about turning it more into a notebook kind of class difference, which I loved. But I sent it back to her, and then I shit you not, I sent it back to her in February of 2020. March, everything shut down. And I was like, shit. Oh, God. Timing, everything. And so it was radio silent for years. Yeah. And my agent was like, Cassie, you just have to write your next thing. So I did. And we actually put it out on submission, and it's still out there somewhere. Maybe it'll get picked up at some point. And then eventually, years later, the editor came back around and said, apologized profusely and said, I'd like to talk to you about Cassie's story. And she was the dream editor. I always wanted to work with Dana. I loved a lot of the stuff that she did with some of her other clients. And so it was a no-brainer for me. I was like, yes, 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 I will work with you. It was, if I'm trying to think about the math, we're talking probably an 8-year experience from drafting to publication, a good 8 years.
Wow.
That's wild. I feel like I'm happy though that you got to work on other things, because I think that's where a lot of kind of aspiring authors, I don't want to say fail, because it's not a failure, but like they think that when they write a book, it's like, okay, I have to sell this one. This one's finished. Because it is hard. It's very hard to write, especially your first book. Yes. But I always try to tell people, like, write that book, get it the best you possibly can, and start querying it. But while you are querying it, you do have something to be working on something else. Yes. There has to be something else that you're doing. Even if you don't have ideas, sit down and just brainstorm, just write, journal, just do something. Yes. Because if you get that call with the agent, maybe less so, but usually an agent or an editor is going to say, what else are you working on? Yes. Because they want to know if you are just this one book or if you have other ideas.
Which makes sense, yeah.
If they offer you like a multi-book deal, they want to know that you have other books, at least other ideas that they can even help you bring to life.
I truly think that publishers are not in it for the money. I really think they're in it more for developing someone. I do. I think they want to sign someone who's going to be with them. There's that loyalty of staying with that author on that journey. Yes, they're going to be making money, ideally, but I do think they're looking at developing that brand. And if you don't know what your brand is, if you're writing all over the place, I think while you're waiting, that's also a good time for you to kind of ask yourself, okay, how do I want to package myself when my books are in a library or at Barnes and Noble? Are they all going to be in one section? Am I going to be in different sections if it's a genre-fied library? So there's a lot that I think we can deep dive and reflect on as authors and not just be that one trick pony, for sure.
Yeah. There's some authors that I've even like read stuff from, like aspiring authors, where they have been working on the book for over 8 years, just writing it for over 8 years. And they're like, oh, well, I've gotten some query rejections, so I started trying to work on it again. And it's like, okay, sometimes there are moments when you just have to put it away.
Yes.
Like you can't work on it anymore because it may just be that you don't have what you need right now to make this the book that will actually catch on. And I say it all the time for my debut. I wrote that in 2015. I didn't query with it until 2019 because when I finished it, I knew it wasn't good. I knew there was something wrong with it, but I had no idea what it was. And it was basically the entire second half of the book was wrong. And so when I realized how to fix it, it was maybe late 2017 to 2018, so 3 years later, and I fixed it. I started working on my query letter at the end of 2018, and then 2019 I started querying with it. And even then, I still got R&Rs from editor or agents, and I was still working on it. But at that point, they had given me the puzzle pieces to be like, this is what I think is not working. Do you think you can fix this? And then immediately, as soon as I start thinking about it, I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, I can actually. That's a great point. I didn't think about it like that.
I think it's so
great because that helps you with also work with this person who's supposed to be your business associate, like business partner in this whole thing.
Yes.
Go ahead.
I think it's so important. People underestimate the importance of rest when it comes for an author. And I get angry when I see, I think there's really two kinds of authors. The ones that believe that you have to write every day, and the ones that believe you just need to consume something. And I'm on the consumption side because my life, it doesn't allow me to write every day. I am a mom. I am a full-time teacher librarian. I would love to be able to write every day, but it's just not feasible. It just depends on the season of life that I'm in. And so I don't like the fact that some authors feel guilty if they haven't written in 3 or 4 weeks or 3 or 4 months. They're like, oh God, that's okay. I think you replace that with what you're consuming. Are you reading? Are you watching things that are inspiring you? My next project is a holiday rom-com, and my mission was to watch as many ridiculously cheesy Netflix Hallmark rom-coms. God bless my husband. He was like, what are we watching tonight? I was like, well, this one's in another small town, but he's the outsider. And I know it was fuel to my creative fire. And was I writing every night during that? No. But when I did sit down to write, I was cranking it out because I had consumed so much that filled my well. And so I do think there is something for that.
I used to be one of those, I have to write every day regardless. It's like, I have to get my word,
gotta get your word count
1,000
in.
words a day.
Right.
And it was basically when I became, when writing became my full-time job, I was like, oh, that's not sustainable because now it's not something I'm doing for fun. It's not like, oh, I'm going home from my full-time job to write for a little bit. And this is like my way of decompressing after the day. It was, no, this is the work now. So if I wasn't hitting that goal, I literally was sitting at my computer getting angry at myself for just staring at a screen and not writing for 5 or 6 straight hours. And I honestly haven't I just started writing again, I think this week on Monday. And that is from probably December. And I felt guilty about it, but at the same time I was like, I can't, it's not possible for me right now. So I'm just gonna do the things that I need to do. And every single day that might be a different thing. And it has helped because I'm under contract for a new book, and I was like 80,000 words into it. And I even like talked with my editor, and she gave me feedback on those 80,000 words and like where I should kind of tighten up things and then where it was going to go to finish up. And it was like, I knew I had to do it, but I kind of couldn't. I just couldn't do it. My brain was not there. And then even on Monday, when I sat down and I was like, you know what? I need to start working on it somehow. Mm-hmm. I sat in there and stared at my computer, and I didn't know how to do it. So I walked away and I started journaling, and I wrote down what my issue was. And I said, this is what I need to do. This is where the story is right now. This is what has to happen. So how do I do that? And I just started writing the stupidest fucking ideas I could come up with. And some of them will never see the light of day. But because I did that, I actually solved the issue, and I found out exactly how to do it. And now I was sitting down before I came here. I was worried about being late because I was losing track of time. I had to set a timer for myself.
Oh, what a good feeling, though. Mm-hmm.
Yes. So I'm saying I agree completely with you. If you're a aspiring writer, like trying to do that right now, and you're forcing yourself, take a break.
Take a break. It's okay.
It's cold to go for a walk on the East Coast, but I don't know how things are for you, Alyssa. But
well, I'm wearing.
I was going to say, I looked up yesterday. It's like in the 80s, so shut up. It's fine.
I know it's a weird time. I just moved to LA. I lived here like years ago, but during the pandemic, so like I was not really outside because no one was outside. But now I'm back here, and it's like 60 degrees when you wake up and then 80 degrees in the middle of the day. And so you have to like find a rhythm with your air conditioner to make sure that you, because then it gets so hot. It's just really, I know.
I had concrete snow outside of my house for 3 weeks.
Oh my God. So
mine's still there.
It's cozy.
Nasty.
It's cozy.
It is, except when you're stuck inside 8 days in a row and your children are,
oh my God,
there.
Climbing the walls.
Yeah.
There.
Yeah.
Well, so Cassie, when you were writing the book, are you a pantser or a plotter?
Oh, I am a plotter.
You're a plotter.
I plot. I do not pants.
Okay.
Yeah, no, definitely a plotter. I kind of like what you were saying, Erik. I tend to do a lot of brain dumping ahead of time just to get all of it down. And I used to have my students do that too when they were like, I don't know where this is going. Stop. Write everything you know. You probably won't use a third or 2/3 of it. Just brain dump on the page. So once I get an idea or that elevator kind of pitch, I do a massive brain dump of a synopsis of everything I think I want it to do. I don't get hung up on places and character names. I literally just throw random things in there like boy, girl, here, there, that type of thing. And from there, that's when I can kind of look at it and go, okay, I can work with this. I make a big ass outline. And this last project that I turned in and I'm working on revisions for, I'm going to do this more often. I did a super detailed outline that went to my editor. She gave me incredible feedback. And after that feedback, I went straight to drafting, and it was the fastest I think I've ever drafted. I cranked out a rough draft in under a month. And wow. I know it was because of her notes and the work I did on the front end with my outlining. I just can't, do I deviate from my outlines? Yeah, of course. Like I'll be writing and I'm like, oh, this needs to happen earlier, or something needs to come in here to build this a little bit more. So I don't stick to my outline 100%, but it's definitely the driving force behind what I do, knowing where everything has to end. I have to know my end. I change my beginning about 30 times. First chapters are super hard for me to write, especially that opening paragraph. It's got to hit,
Yeah.
If it doesn't hit, a lot of kids won't even pick up the book. They look at that first page and then that's it. So I know my ending, my beginning changes a lot, and then I just kind of enjoy the ride while I can.
That's how mine is. It's always the beginning. And it's usually, my editor is always like, we need to tighten up the beginning because
Yep.
I'm different. I like a little bit of a leggy beginning where it's like you're kind of getting to know the character and you're seeing this event happens, this event happens, this event happens, this event happens, which is why the whole rest of the book happens. I love stuff like that. People don't usually like reading that. So I get it, and I have to figure out ways to condense it and just make it like a boom, this happens and sets off everything else. But I'm the same where it's like I always know what the ending is before I start. And sometimes it might change a little tiny bit, but for the most part, it's like, all right, this is where the character is going to be at the end of this book. And that's when I know I can sit down and start writing it.
For me, I too, with my beginnings, when you talk about the beginning, I think going back to like love of movies and theater and stuff, I think I grew up watching so many great movies that I always think of chapter ones as like that voiceover, and I can't do that because I've got this Ferris Bueller Easy A kind of thing in my head. And it's like, no, Cassie, you can give those details later. Just get it and go. But I want it to start like that kind of prologue of a movie. So
yeah.
Love it.
Oh, well, it's not for everyone. I would still read it.
I love it. So it's for me, at least.
It's same. I'll put it away. Look at it later.
So do you have anything coming out next or that you're allowed to talk about? Or are you kind of still have to stay mum about that?
I have to stay mum. Okay. And it kills me. I hate the secrets. So I have to stay mum, but I can say that. You can tell us
when we stop recording. That's
okay. Well, I can do that. But what I can tell you is that it will be public soon. So that's good. And I can go ahead and tell you, this is my pitch that I like without giving details, but like more of a comp. When I first sat down to start writing the holiday rom-com, I called it My Big Fat Greek Wedding, but with Italians. And for, YA. See,
Cassie?
Boom.
My Big Fat Greek Wedding is one of my favorite movies of all time.
Same.
And I am Italian.
Same.
I literally...
this is like, can't wait to read it.
I'm like astral projecting. This is so exciting.
Yes. Thank you.
This is great news.
Thank you.
I have a literal group chat that will be thrilled to know about this.
Oh, I'm so excited. Well, I've always loved My Big Fat Greek Wedding because it reminds me of my family and my husband. So I'm 50% Italian. My husband is 50% Italian. And so anytime I watch My Big Fat Greek Wedding, it's a comfort watch for me.
Me too.
And I just feel like I'm watching my family.
Yes.
But they're Greek. And so I was like, God, I got to write that. And Meet Me Under the Lights is fun because you do get the small town aspect, but I really wanted to write a story that was small town, but the Italian person's entire family lives there. So she cannot kiss a boy on her front stoop without people heckling her from 2 doors over and it being on the family group chat within 10 minutes. And that's what I wanted to write. So that's on deck and I'll share more later. Thank you.
That's so exciting. And also, and I want to be mindful of time because I know everyone has lives and things that happen today, but thinking about that. So my fiance is Irish and Irish folks and Italian folks, their family dynamics are polar opposites.
Yes,
Him and his family openly lie to each other to protect each other's feelings. And my family is like, how about that? Like they're just, just for the sake of being honest.
Big with the Irish folk.
We do not
the Irish
deny.
folks. And with the Italian folks, my sister will straight up text me and be like, what's going on with your face? Something looks weird. Like they just, and it's just, and she's saying it because she's like, something is weird and wrong. And I love you. What's going on? But it's such a different dynamic. And my mom's family is the one that's like full Italian. My dad's half Italian. And her parents are immigrants. And that whole, the parent generation, that whole generation of like aunts and uncles and whatever, they all came from Italy around the same time and then all moved to the same neighborhood in the Bronx. And so I have 800 weddings are ridiculous. I bet. So for my fiance, he's like, I don't really what is going, and it's hard to explain how even the if you kiss a boy on the front stoop, you're going to get heckled. It still reads like love and care from family.
Yes. Oh my gosh. And that's, and the point with my story too, it is about a teenage girl. But you see I love stories with multiple generations. If you like, that's the baseball story too.
Yeah.
But it also, girls dealing with her drama, mom is trying to date, and Nona is constantly setting her up and embarrassing the shit out of her. And Nona means well, and she's not going to apologize, and because Nona knows best. And so I giggle so much while I'm editing this, and like just looking at the LOL comments and stuff from my editor in the margin. I'm like, yes,
nailing it.
She is not Italian, but she gets it.
She gets it. Wow. I'm thrilled. I'm so excited.
I'm excited too.
That's awesome.
Before we let you go, can you tell us what you're reading right now?
Ooh, so I am reading Percy Jackson, book 1, Sea of Monsters. Is it Sea of Monsters? What is book 1?
I think it's book 1, just the Olympians.
I think it's the Olympians. Lightning Thief is book 1. Sea of Monsters is book 2. I am reading Percy Jackson right now, trying to settle on an audiobook, but haven't found my niche yet. I completely blew through a young adult romance series that's a little bit older, but I guess I just didn't know about it. So I read American Royals.
Oh, yeah, I've seen that before.
Really, really good. It kind of reminded me of Kiera Cass's The Selection and like The Crown, and it was just super fun, really, really swoony romance. So I blew through those 4 books between Christmas and early January. And then I was like, you know what? I'm going to go middle grade. I'm going to read Percy Jackson. So that's what I'm reading right now.
Nice.
Love it.
All right. Well, we cannot wait for everybody to read on Meet Me Under the Lights, because I think that they're going to love it.
Oh, thank you so much.
I'm excited for your book. I'm excited for your burgeoning author career, because
thank you.
I already know, like, you know how to write, you know how to tell a story. So I'm excited.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Oh, yeah. Thank you.
When she asked me how far we can take it, I tell her we can take it across the entire universe. You are my universe, not just a planet.
Well, again, I think that was a great episode. But we're going to have to end on like a bit of a sad note. I'm trying not to keep it too sad. If you follow me on Instagram, you may have seen that I did have some bad news at the end of last year. My husband of 12 years has passed away, and it was very sudden. It's unexpected and pretty fucking awful, I'll be honest. So I just wanted to kind of come on here and let everybody know what is going on, and kind of just give a warning that our release schedule is not going to be what it was the past 2 years that we've been doing the show. Producer Matt was very kind and even gave Alyssa and I the off-ramp if we wanted to stop this, but I did not. And Alyssa, I know you did not either.
Yeah.
I enjoy doing this. I love talking with authors. When I talked about during the episode, I talked about how I hadn't written since December, and it was because of that. I was busy trying to do shit, but also my mind wasn't in it.
Yeah.
And I was worried that it would not be in it again when I was doing this. So I'm happy to say that that's not the case. So we're okay. But there is still obviously a lot going on. And I think that for the next year, our release schedule is going to be a little weird. I don't know what it's going to be. We could have several months of just every other week we will be releasing episodes, but then all of a sudden there might be a little dead spot in the middle of spring or summer or whatever.
Yeah.
But we will still be here. And in case you're concerned, I am okay. I am doing the best I can, like any of us are, really. I mean, but the bad part of that also is leading into the question that we always ask each other at the end of the episode, I'm actually not reading anything right now.
Wow. So, that's okay. You're taking some breathing room. some brain space room.
When Cassie mentioned Apprentice to the Villain, that one, I just looked it up and it seems up my alley. So maybe
yeah.
I also have I bought years ago, not years, I don't know when it got popular. When it first got popular, The Housemaid by Frida McFadden. And I hear it's like this really, really quick read that everybody loves. So I think that might be the one that I will jump into when I'm like, okay, I want to read something now.
Yeah. And when I'm breaking out of like a reading slump, usually I reach for a thriller. Housemaid is a great one. It's really there's a good twist, but it's not like, you can read it very quickly and I think you'll like it. That's a good choice too.
So what are you reading?
I am reading, what the heck is it called? It's by my bed right now. Wait, I'm going to go get it actually, because it is an interesting book and the cover is weird. I'll show you. Hold on a second. Hold on. Please.
Go get it.
So I am reading The Mad Wife by Megan Church. And it is
I love that cover.
Yeah, right. It's cool. So on the back, it says they called it hysteria. She called it survival. So it's about this mom in the 50s who is dealing with, my gosh. After you have a baby and you're depressed, the phrases escaping me right now.
Depression.
Thank you. Postpartum depression. And we're at the beginning now, and she just finds out that her baby is a newborn, and she just found out that she's pregnant again. And so there's a bit of a spiral that is starting to happen and a slow descent into madness. Yeah. So anyways, it's apparently there's a very good twist, and I'm really looking forward to what that could possibly be in a story that's being told from the perspective of a house bound mother in the 50s. But also the reason I picked it up is because that the back and kind of also in the beginning too, they talk about the bell jar and how it's sort of in that same vein. So I'm really excited about this one, and it's been really interesting so far, and I've been enjoying it. So Mad Wife,
my list too.
Megan Church. Yeah. So anyways, thank you guys so much for listening. Thank you, Cassie, for coming on. And we love you, Erik. I'm so happy. This truly, doing this podcast again makes me feel so myself in a place that is not my home. So it's a little,
I know what you mean. It's nice to even be on just a Zoom call with you and just talk books.
It's nice. It's nice. So I hope that you all get that feeling from this pod too. And we will see you in the next one. Oh, and
check us out on YAOK podcast at Instagram. See, we've been out of practice for a while. We used to be good at this.
Yeah. Thank you guys so much for listening, and we'll catch you in the next one. Bye.
Corners of the internet, a nameless, formless entity has been growing. No one dares question where it was created or what it wants, but those who have been entranced by its musings chant its blood-curdling name in unison. Horror Movie Night!
Find Horror Movie Night on your favorite podcasting app or at hmnpodcast.com.
What's up, everybody? This is Brian here to tell you about our podcast, Bingetown TV. Our hosts include 7 best friends with a love for all things television. We cover a range of genres with a focus on fantasy and sci-fi, but also dip our feet into drama, horror, comedy, and pretty much anything we think is good television. We use the traditional deep dive formula for new live shows that are released week to week, but our calling card is our Rooks and Vets and Pitchtown TV series. Rooks and Vets pairs 2 of our hosts that have seen a show with 2 of our hosts that have not seen a show. Pitchtown TV is when we have a special guest pitch us a show by having us watch the pilot and trying to convince us to watch the rest. If you're craving more content on some of your favorite TV shows, then you should listen to Bingetown TV. Find us on our website at bingetowntv.com, the Apple Podcast app, Spotify, or wherever else you may find your podcast.
You're listening to the Geekscape Network.